So I would like to welcome everyone to the professional development session for today. And this one is another one that is linked up with where the e-certification workshop is at this point. So we wanted to help you get a new perspective on how to line up the content within your own course through the use of the blueprints. So we are going to be having a blueprint party. Mary, before we get started, I wanted to ask you a question. Do you have just a minute? Hi, Fred. Hi, Gerald. Good to see you both. Mary needs to be unmuted, please. Mary. Yeah. Mary, do you have just a minute before we get started? I wanted to ask you something.
Absolutely.
Okay. I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend, and she wanted me to help her plan a multicultural kind of party gathering sort of thing. And we kind of had fun planning it. She's got a pretty good sounding menu going, but she also had said that she wanted me to take care of getting the sangria. And Mary, I don't know anything about sangria. So tell me what I need to do.
Okay, you don't know anything about sangria, but you don't want to buy sangria. You want to make it, right?
I don't. I can't just go get it.
Yeah, but it won't be the same.
Oh, okay.
You know, the thing about sangria is you want to get it right. So you want to get the taste and the look, and you want to serve the sangria in the right way. So I would say go for it. But let me tell you, sangria is very refreshing. It has kind of a fruity taste.
Okay.
Yes. It looks like watered down wine, but there's something about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sangria has, and I put the word here because I always have problems remembering this word. So,
Fizzle?
yeah.
Please.
Fizzle. Sangria.
Fizzle. Sangria.
Yes. It fizzles in your mouth. So it's very summery. It's very bubbly. It's very refreshing. It has a fizzle. That's what you want, Yuri.
Okay. I'll have to see if we can figure this one out.
Okay, so here's our situation, right? So what do we know about making sangria? And that takes us to why we're wearing an apron today, and maybe we can get together and help Yuri with what we know about sangria. Let's talk about it.
Okay, who's got a comment? Somebody let me know what I need to do to get this.
I think the fruit is essential.
Freshness.
Freshness. Was that Fred?
Variety of ingredient and preparation. You don't want to do it 2 hours before your guests are coming. You want to do it the day before. So it's marinating all night in the fridge.
That sounds good. That's a good advice. Okay, anybody else? What else do I need to know about making this sangria? This is new to me.
Isn't it alcoholic? Do you have to be a grown-up?
Yes. Yes. At least 21.
Okay, good to know.
If not a grown-up, at least 21 years old.
Okay, well, I think I passed that part.
What else? Where do you think the fizzle comes from?
Yeah, well, how does it, she says it needs fizzle. What in the world do I need to do to make that happen?
Soda, right?
Soda?
Mhm.
What do you mean soda?
Carbonated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Looks very sweet.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Hi. Oh, you came in just in time, Emmanuel. We're trying to figure out how to tell me how to make sangria.
How to make?
Sangria. I'm
Italian, so I
having a conversation
Okay.
before
Sorry.
that, and she said it has to have fizzle, and I'm not sure how to make that happen.
I can speak about spaghetti if you want. Sangria. Sangria is not my field.
Okay, all right, okay. But now, Fred had a couple of things to say about it, though, and said we had to start early. Okay. Whew. All right. I am still a little confused, though.
Okay.
However, let's get on into what we need to talk about for today. Our PD session today is a different perspective on the blueprint.
So our first objective today will be to identify backward design concepts. And for that matter, we're going to go back to the topic of sangria in a little bit.
Okay, and so we're also going to take a look at making a comparison between our learning goals and performance indicators or the student outcomes and see what the connection is between those.
We will also examine the rationale behind developing a blueprint.
Which includes looking at the different components of the blueprint.
And the specific notation or coding that we use for our blueprint here.
Along with, then we will kind of wrap things up. And as I said, I'm hoping to give you all 15 minutes at the end to start looking at least one module with objectives, assessments, and contents and see how to line them up.
Good. Okay, so going back to the topic of making sangria, how is it similar to writing a course? So we're even using ideas that I have in my mind. I know exactly what fizzle feels like, even though I may have problems remembering the word. I know exactly what I want. I want the taste, and I want my end product to be exactly what I'm used to. So writing a blueprint is exactly the same because we're going to be starting at the end. We're going to be starting with the end product in mind. We're going to have a very clear idea of where we want our students to go and what we want our students to be able to do. So we're going to start with the end in mind, right? And then we're going to proceed backwards. This is known as backwards design.
And that's a concept that was has been highly promoted over the last a good 15 years by Wiggins and McTeague, the backwards design idea.
Mm-hmm. So always remember what the end product looks like, feels like, so what you want your students to be able to show they can do. So in the process, there will be probably a lot of thinking about how they will show that to you. What is the evidence that you will be looking for so that you know if your students have met those objectives, your ends, right? And then we will think about embedding learning experiences and instruction along the way, so everything we do is with the intention of taking our students exactly to that end result we want them to be at. So that's the relationship between Sangria and thinking about your course.
And so we're going to take a look at how the learning goals are related to the performance indicators or the outcomes. And so the learning goals, which of course are the objectives, give us indications of the types of knowledge that we want our students to get through whatever the process is that we're doing within the module. We want them, there are specific skills that we set out with intention for them to accomplish through that module. And interestingly, we want to balance their independence, being able to function on their own, with appropriate guidance. Again, talking about that scaffolding, Bagazzi's idea of the whole scaffolding, with building on what our students know and then moving them further up. We also want to make sure that what we have them do is going to provide them with the foundation of being able to transfer what they know into other content areas, to be able to take the information that we know and have picked up from our course and be able to use it in other situations. When you look at the curriculum design components, which is the Wiggins and McTighe, they refer to big ideas, and these big ideas would correlate to our course level objectives, what we want our students to know at the end of this training.
Judy, can you go back to the previous slide for a second? All right, so today we're using the analogy of the multicultural party to show how the process goes, right? So the big ideas here is, in this party situation, we want our students to know about the culture, the music, the traditions, probably the dressing or costumes that are part of a culture. Music and obviously food and drinks will be parts of that. So these are the big ideas. These are the umbrella ideas that we're aiming at. And they're correlated in our situations with our course level objectives. So we wanted to make clear that relationship between what we do in our classes and the parallel that we chose to explain that process to you today.
And so we're kind of on Fred and Emmanuel to bring the cultural aspect into what we're doing with the Spanish and Italian perspective, and Mario with the Haitian, or Creole even.
Yeah, so those are the overarching ideas behind everything we're doing in our course development.
And so we're going to be talking about the blueprint. And the blueprint is a tool that we use to develop our course. And it actually is a tool that we use right at the very beginning, which is why you have it before you've actually seen anything else as far as building a course. We want you to think about the blueprint and how the course flows, how it is going to be laid out. And when we're developing a course and using the blueprint, that whole thing evolves throughout. It's a flexible tool that changes as we go through, because we might get to, say, module 4 and say, wait a minute, that didn't really fit. Let's go back up and shift some things around. So it's a constantly evolving and changing process. But the blueprint that we create for the course gives us a visual of where we're going with the course. And so the process is to think about the assessments, think about what it's going to take to provide evidence of the learning so that we can connect those assessments and the evidence of learning to the objectives in the course. Objectives, yes, here we go again. Bloom's Test.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
Absolutely.
What is Maria drinking? Is that sangria?
No, because I'm drinking water because it's, it's during the day, but I'm at work. Otherwise, I would be drinking sangria for sure.
Especially since we're having this lively conversation about it.
Yes.
So what I'm showing you here is an overview of the actual blueprint for the workshop. And the blueprint for the workshop is posted in there under the welcome page, several items down on the welcome page. But as we are helping you with the components of effective course design, we also wanted to model those components as well. And so this is where I've taken just one of the modules in the blueprint for the workshop to show you what the coding that we use to indicate the alignment through. So you will see that I have the first two course level objectives circled over here, and then showing you the connection between the module objective. And so when the module objective, the coding for that starts with CO, which means that it correlates to course objective, and then colon 1 and 2. So the first objective in module 1 will apply both to course level objective 1 and 2. And then as we go on across through, we're looking at both the assessments and the lesson content and showing how those connect to the module objectives. So the coding there is the first item within the parentheses is a 1, indicating that it is from module 1, and you'll see down on those underneath below, it's the first one in the parentheses is a 2 for module 2. So that indicates that it is in module 1, that first number. And then the number after the colon indicates which objective within module 1 that particular both assessment and lesson content relate to. So both of those first two things, the journal on your academic identity connects to module objective 2, analyze your perspectives of your academic identity and think about how it compares. And in order to get you to that, we provided you with some research articles so you could start about that academic identity and in order to analyze it. And so those two things have the coding in there, 1:2 to indicate module 1, objective number 2. So that when we do this alignment throughout the whole course, we will see that every one of the course level objectives is met in some piece of each one of the course level objectives is met throughout the workshop, so that we can at the end of it say that yes, you have been able to distinguish the characteristics of online teaching as compared to face-to-face delivery, and have discussed applying the best practices in the development of an online course. So that shows you the alignment across and the coding that we have chosen to use for this whole process. Any comments or questions on that at this point? Okay, Fred.
I was wondering if this is something that students will have eventual access to, or is it just for us? It's for students, right?
Excellent question. We design it with the intent of being able to show it with students. Now, it depends on the content of your course and you as the instructor, whether or not you choose to share it with students.
Okay.
But when the inevitable question comes up, am I ever going to use this, or why do I have to do this? Then that should be able to show them very clearly exactly why each piece of it blueprint is in there. So it is built into the template that we will set up for you as soon as we finish with module 3. We will give, as soon as we take a look at your blueprint, we will set up a sandbox or a dev course with you and put our template in. And it's set up in there under that welcome screen as a place for you to put the blueprint in, and we will guide you to that. Now, whether you choose to show it in your course is entirely up to you, but it is put in there as a way for you to be able to share with students and be able to say, here is why we are doing this particular item. Good question, Fred. Thank you. Anything else?
I wanted to say that in the course design process, in the e-design process, not only do we have the blueprint as such, but when we create an assignment, we have a little note that indicates which objective that specific assignment addresses. So even if your students do not get to see the whole blueprint, when they read the instructions for an assignment, they will know why this assignment is there and which specific objective it targets. So that's like a second layer of information on the rationale. Why are we doing this? Why is my professor asking me to submit this assignment or to complete this project or to post on the discussion board? There's always that transparency about why we're doing what we're doing. So we know what the end result is, but they also know where we're guiding them.
And Mario, I always tend to think of math students as being the ones that ask, when am I ever going to use this?
Yes.
I was just thinking about that. I think this falls in the area of applications. And for example, the topic of probability.
Yes.
When am I going to use this? This is wide ranging. And I was thinking, how do we incorporate that? Because, you know, where it's applied in one profession, it doesn't apply in another. And that needs to be narrowed. Or, you know,
Or addressed.
do we address, but it's not possible to address all of the applications.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Good thoughts. So we'll kind of guide through that, because it seems to me it would be extremely important, especially in math, for them to have a clear understanding that this is information that, while it's a specific formula and a way of coming up with a specific result, it is used across the board, and most everything is. Excellent. Thank you.
And thinking in terms of the blueprint, you know, in applications, where would that go? Or maybe you're going to say that.
What do you mean in application?
For example, probability is used in statistics.
Okay.
Probability is used in queuing theory and things like that.
Okay, so that would be something that you would include under your content, is what applications this particular objective would apply to. That would definitely be a part of your content. It would seem that we'll work with you as we go through it, though. Anything else?
I was wondering if it is so necessary to write the number in parentheses so every time, indicating that the module objective align with the course objective. So I mean, since that yes, we are not deceiving. This is what we promise.
Right.
I mean, you understand that it seems a little
Redundant?
oh yes.
Yeah. And the quick answer to that is yes, it is. And we'll have a conversation about that, because as you work through the blueprint, and you're working on an e-design, right?
Yes.
And so as you work through the blueprint, as you get to the different pieces, because the module level objectives are usually broken down, I don't mean broken down, but pieces of the course level objectives, so that by the end of the course, you can say, well, in Module 7, we did this part of Objective 3, and in Module 4, we did this part of Objective 3, so that we can clearly show that that objective was met all the way through. So it does, I'm sure, seem redundant, and yet it's a fairly easy process once you get going with it, and provides with a way to clearly indicate. And with the e-design, at the end of it, there will be a review process, well, particularly if you wind up going to quality matters, there's a review process where they literally look at it to make sure that it does align all the way through. Yeah, good point. Thank you.
If I may say something, for example, in the language classroom that we are so familiar with, it may be that within a module, we have an objective that targets productive skills. And then we have a different objective that is addressed at receptive skills. So when I'm doing a reading or when I'm exposing my students to a video, that particular content or activity relates more to the receptive than to the productive skill. If I am having them work on creating a dialogue or a role play, then that specific activity will be targeting more production skills. So it helps to see exactly what objective is being met by each of these different components along the way. So it may look repetitive, but not everything we do targets all objectives simultaneously.
No.
And especially when we do building skills, it is a process where things are touched in different ways, right? So it helps to see what the connection is between what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely. I think I have another. Oh, okay. So I'm going to give you just a quick example of what that means, how we line things up. If indeed our desired result is to identify the structure for module level objectives, then the evidence that we would be looking for that would be that the evidence would be the objectives written in a specific way, and the action for that would be that we would submit the document with the objectives. And this phrasing or this objective is taken right from the workshop. And so showing that lineup, showing that connection across, and then going on, identify the structure for objectives, and the evidence would be that the objectives are written in a specific way and that we are asking you to submit a document with the objectives. Then the tools that we use to get you there are clearly the video on creating learning objectives, which you've probably already seen, the links to Bloom's taxonomy, and there's multiple ones in there, so that gives you the guidance in order to accomplish the assessment, the actions that you're going to do so that you can produce the evidence of success. So that gives us that alignment all the way across as well as then up, because the identifying the structure for the module objectives goes directly up to course level objective 2. So that's just a kind of a quick, here's how it looks and the rationale for it, why we are doing that, which you've already brought up, Emmanuel. Thank you. So we are going to, we have almost 15 minutes. And so what we're going to do is give you the opportunity to pair up with an ID, one of the facilitators for the course, and join them either face-to-face or virtually, and work on your blueprint. And then we'll come back into this to share. So I'm going to go out and go to the Google Slides. And that means I need to change my sharing here. Okay, so there's the Google Slides. I'm going to invite you to select one, and I will sit with the ones in here, and Fred, either Kathy or Mary will join you on your slide. It is, I don't know if Gerald is still on or not. Fred, did you have a question?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
So I was just waving. I wasn't.
Okay, good. All right.
I'm speaking like way back in.
Yes.
I said, look, you're still there. Okay, and I suspect that you probably are, in fact, I'm almost certain, although I have not been in there, but I'm almost certain that you've already submitted part of it. So if you'll just take one of the units that you have created for the workshop and put it across in there, you'll see in this in the slides. Let me see, where's one. So you'll see in there to put in the objective, the module topic, the module number, what the topic is, the objectives, what your assessment is, and what your content is, so that we can take a look at those alignments, and I'll work on the same thing with the ones who are in here. So we'll take a few minutes and work on those, and then we'll come back together and see how we did. Okay. So as a wrap up, a summary of what we've done, we did take a look at the backward design process and how that applies to building a course, because we wanted to think about what it is we want, the evidence that we want them to produce in order to accomplish our objectives. And that's why our e-certification course is set up the way it is, where we want you to start thinking about your assessments before we actually go into building the course. We had looked at the learning goals as compared to performance indicators or outcomes, and we know that those things do have to connect. We talked about objectives, and we talked about Bloom's big list, and took a look at that. And you started your, well, we talked about the organization of the blueprint, but you started your awesome modules within the workshop. So that is the whole intent of what this piece is so that you have a clear understanding of what this document is and how it can benefit you. So that's my thank you. Next week is spring break, and while we will be here, for any of you that wish to connect back up with us, a good time for you to make an appointment if you want to either come in or meet with us virtually. And then the following Monday, we will be taking a look at groups and collaboration and drums, right, Mary?
Yes.
All right, I love it. And then the following week, we will have a really important conversation about OER, the whole idea of open educational resources and how they can benefit your students, certainly, but you as well. So thank you, and thank you for bearing with, as well as know that we are available to you to make those connections for your blueprint. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.